Wow, the numbers are jumping now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're just going to wait for everyone to join. Okay, looks like everyone's in. Welcome, good evening. My name is Joyce Gibson, and I am the MBA and MS Admissions Recruitment Advisor for the College of Business. And I work with the students all throughout their program, throughout the fast track program as undergraduates, and all the way through the graduate program as they finish and complete the MBA fast track program. So I'm going to do a quick overview of what our MBA fast track program is and how it works. So what it is a 48 credit program that is designed for students who are non-business majors. So we have over 50 majors approved. And when students come from one of those approved majors, they can start taking those MBA credits while they're still in their undergraduate program. And it will allow them to save a lot of time and a lot of money and essentially have one extra year to complete an MBA. And that's really going to help them in their job search, make them a more marketable person as they graduate from their programs, and give them a lot of those business skills if they're coming from different areas. And as you'll see, we have students from all different areas, whether it be the sciences, psychology, biology. We have lots of different areas that you can do this program. We are looking for high achieving students. So typically students will have a 3.2 or higher. And you've really been recognized as one of the students who can meet that criteria. And we'll go over a little bit more about what that would look like once you were in the program. But tonight we really would like to have kind of a lively discussion about why students are choosing the fast track program and how they hope that it can help their career or it has helped their future, prospective careers. Okay, so now I'm gonna open it up. Oh, first, before I do introductions, we are gonna have a Q&A section here. If you wanna leave your questions as you're going along, we'll have a Q&A session at the end, but they'll also be answering some of the questions as we go along. So feel free to put that in the Q&A box. So now I would like to introduce Bob Edel. He is one of our esteemed faculty who've been here for over 20 years teaching in marketing and management. And he was also an executive at AT&T for many years. And I'm really glad that he's able to join us tonight because not only is he everyone's favorite professor, but he's really just one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. So I'm just going to bring it on over to Bob, who will be our moderator tonight.
All right, thank you, Joyce. And I guess I owe you lunch for those kind comments, huh? Yeah, you're gonna say with that. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our discussion this evening about the Fast Track MBA program. And by way of introduction and starting tonight's discussion, I'd like to congratulate all the young seniors out there who have, some of you obviously have committed to Stony Brook already. So congratulations on a very smart choice. And for those of you that are considering and still thinking and weighing the options of coming with us at Stony Brook, I think tonight will give you an opportunity to get a sense as to how some of our programs are intertwined with the fact that we're concerned about your overall success, both in the university and in your careers and when you're done. By way of our discussion this evening, we have several students with us that are presently in the program, and I'll introduce them and have them introduce themselves in just a moment. But one of them is completing the program and is graduating in the fall. So we'll get through this semester and get into the fall and he's done. Two of the students are still in the process, they're seniors. So they're involved quite heavily in the utilization of the 48 credits on the undergraduate side. And we also have one panelist with us tonight who is an alumnus of the program, right? And Luke left the program in 2008, I believe it was, and we'll talk to him a little bit about what he was involved with in using the impact of the MBA on his career. So I'll tell you what, why don't we just introduce the students first, and then I'll start off with some opening questions, and we can take it from there. So Nicole, you want to start us off? Introduce yourself, please.
Sure, of course. So hi, everyone on the call. Nice to see everyone. So my name is Nicole Hurwitz. I'm a senior at Stony Brook University. I'm a psychology major with a concentration in marketing, and I am on the 48 credit track through the MBA Fast Track program. I've taken some classes so far. I really enjoy the program, and that's a little bit about me. I'm also currently on track to pursue the MBA in marketing. So glad to be here tonight, and thank you, Bob Edel.
Yeah, Nicole, I understand you're also the president of the American Marketing Association chapter on campus.
Yes, so for anyone that's interested in marketing, as you can probably tell from my academic studies, very concentrated in marketing. I love the creativity, very much a people person. So I am the chapter president of the American Marketing Association on campus. So balancing leadership roles in my academic studies has been manageable and very rewarding experience.
Oh, congratulations. Looks good on your resume too when you get to do it. All right, Sean, where are you? There you are.
Howdy.
Go ahead, Sean.
Hello, I am Sean Griffin. I am a journalism major, creative writing minor, and I'm also I'm a senior, and I'm pursuing the MBA in marketing, and I'm a part of the Fast Track program. I don't really have any interesting facts. I just like to read a lot of comic books, so that's where I'll leave it off.
Okay. As long as you don't read them in class, we'll be okay, Sean, all right? Going to deal with that one. All right, Hasita.
Hi. First off, sorry if you guys hear any background music. I'm sitting in the TAC currently. There's some Ariana Grande playing. But so my name is Hasita. Most people just call me Hasi. I actually applied to this program as a freshman. So I'm currently a sophomore majoring in biology, and I'm also taking some MBA courses, I guess during the summers and winters of undergrad. And I hope to pursue a specialization in healthcare management. So,
Okay. And Amber?
Hi, everyone. My name's Amber. I'm in my second to last semester in the program. I'm in the MBA program with the healthcare management concentration. I graduated last year with my bachelor's degree in psychology with a concentration in sociology. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here today.
Okay, and the senior member of the panel, Luke. Where are you, Luke?
Here I am.
Okay, Luke, just tell us something about yourself.
Something about myself. Well, I grew a beard since I left Stony Brook to look more like Bob Edel. But no, I grew up in New York City, in Brooklyn, and still working in the city. I work as a senior manager for a energy and sustainability consulting firm. That's a publicly traded company where, every day I use all of the skills that I learned at Stony Brook, including the MBA program. I was an undergrad environmental studies major and a bio minor. And pretty much every single day I use all of the skills, the interdisciplinary skills that I got at Stony Brook, utilizing all of my, scientific background related to the environment, and all of my management skills, because I, help to manage all kinds of large programs that end up on the streets of New York City. And so it's been a good experience for me in that I kind of have the full package that's needed for my particular role doing, energy and sustainability consulting.
All right, good. Luke, I don't want you to feel left out, but since you've been out of the program and have been a graduate of the program, I'm going to have a question or two later on for you that's going to be a little different than for the students that are in the program right now. So do us a favor and don't go away, okay? And just reinforces Joyce's opening comments before. For the folks that are listening to the broadcast tonight, you can get a sense that we're not kidding about the fact that we've got 50 majors that can participate. in this program. So regardless of what avenue your students or your children feel they need to pursue in their undergraduate work, there's a very strong relationship to the fact that an MBA somewhere along the line is going to prove to be beneficial. And we can see it right here with journalism, the sciences and biology, psychology, and of course, environmental studies. All right, I'll tell you what, Cannell, I'm going to start off with Nicole. Why don't you start us off? And for those students that are listening to us tonight that have not committed to Stony Brook, all right, and the rest of you guys can feel free to chime in also. Tell us a little bit about why you selected Stony Brook over the other options you had available to you after graduating high school.
Sure, of course. So, first and foremost, I always like to say that growing up on Long Island, Stony Brook was always a 15-minute drive away from my house. So I was very fortunate to be very familiar with the campus. I was able to take a lot of tours before committing to Stony Brook. In fact, I thought I was going to go away to school, but choosing Stony Brook was one of, if not the best choice I've ever made in my life. And the reason being is that Stony Brook I knew had a lot of great and valuable academic programs available. There's many leadership opportunities on campus that students can be a part of, interacting with faculty, learning about their research. There's just so many different opportunities and value that Stony Brook offers to its students, its alumni, and that grows the relationship over years to come. I also chose to attend Stony Brook. There's always that student life aspect. And once again, in regards to opportunities, there's always you're always going to find a place at Stony Brook that's right for you. You're always going to find multiple avenues that wherever you choose, you're going to be guided and supported along the way. And I knew coming to Stony Brook that I would be set up for success, not only from an academic standpoint, but also from a career standpoint.
Thank you. Sean?
So my brother went to Stony Brook, and also at the time I was interested in civil engineering. And Stony Brook was one of 3 SUNY schools that had civil engineering. Being that I said I'm a journalism major, I think what's pretty clear, I did not stick with civil engineering because I really like to write. I like math, but I don't want to do it for the rest of my life. But the reason why I stayed at Stony Brook after switching majors and everything and didn't pursue other schools is that it does have a very good community. And I also got very heavily involved in my job on campus, where I worked for now it was then residential risk management. Now it's safety and support services. And I will be returning to that job in May in a new role as a grad student. So that's pretty much my Stony Brook story.
Okay, thank you. Aziz?
Yeah, so I guess my story is kind of a combination of Nicole and Sean. I also live on Long Island, so I was pretty close by to campus. So, I mean, I've visited a few times even before I attended, it was close to home. And like Sean, my older sister also attended the school. So, I mean, my parents were ideally wanted me to attend because it was close to home. I obviously didn't picture myself here. I wanted to go pretty far away. But considering that I am on the pre-med track and I wanted to major in bio, I realized that Stony Brook is definitely renowned for its STEM education. So it's definitely one of the best options at the time to take. And I definitely don't regret it because all the bio courses I'm taking right now are very challenging in a good way. And, you learn a lot. And yeah, that's all I have.
Amber?
So yeah, I actually was a transfer student to Stony Brook. I transferred in my sophomore year of my undergrad, and primarily I chose it because of the proximity to where I live, because I was one of those people that went very, very far away and did not like it. So I moved back home and decided to attend Stony Brook, mostly because I liked the fact that the proximity to the hospital and using that as a resource. I knew I wanted to enter the healthcare environment in some capacity. So I thought that this was the perfect opportunity. It's right next door. But I also knew that, Stony Brook's reputation is highly regarded. So I knew that would benefit me as I was, applying for internships And ultimately, as I'm applying for jobs now, full-time positions now, which is kind of scary, but I definitely think that like utilizing all of the resources at Stony Brook, like I have, like with the Career Center and just everybody in the College of Business has also like really helped me feel confident as I'm about to enter the workforce.
Hey, there's nothing to be scared about. You're ready to go. That's for sure. I'd just like to comment on something that one of our panelists mentioned. When considering Stony Brook, and for those of you that are committed, you're going to be exposed to this, and for those of you thinking about it, consider this factor, is Stony Brook is a research institution. It's both a teaching institution as well as a research institution, and we are one of the flagship campuses of the SUNY system, so that when you do attend classes at Stony Brook, you are exposed to research professionals on the faculty, and that the information that you will be learning in your classes are not from what other people have done on their own per se, but rather Stony Brook is the leading edge research institution. So we're teaching our students the leading edge information about the different areas that they're associated with. And of course, we're quite renowned in the area of research with regard to sciences and engineering and medical and so on. So the concept of getting a good education from a teaching faculty, as well as being exposed to the latest research in the different disciplines that the students are involved in on an everyday basis, is definitely a positive on that basis. When you guys selected your majors, was there, other than you, Sean, who bounced back out of your major, okay, you went into journalism, what consideration did you have toward the major that you selected as to what you thought a future career might be in that particular major? And then I'm going to ask you to couple that in with how you have now integrated the fast track program into this whole process. So when you guys want to start us off on that one? You were nodding, Nicole. You want to do it?
Yeah, I guess we can start the loop again. I applied to Stony Brook as a psychology major. To be completely transparent, I never took a psychology course before that. But I always knew I really was interested in human behavior, more specifically along the lines of consumer behavior in the marketplace. I always enjoyed learning about the complexity of the mind and why people behave in the ways they do. So I knew psychology was a path I wanted to take. And originally coming into Stony Brook, a huge part of it that I didn't mention in my intro was that I initially wanted to go into physical therapy. So of course, having the hospital right across the street and just known to be a huge STEM school, I knew that was a great opportunity. After taking my chem and cal courses, I realized that maybe science and math wasn't for me, but I found a new love in more of a liberal arts range. So that's why I pursued the BA in psychology. Combining my love for psychology and learning about different classes, I was able to learn about like abnormal and psychology, cognitive psychology, all these different departments, and having known that psychology was also very prominent in regards to the graduate level, I knew that I would always have an opportunity to grow within Stony Brook from both the undergraduate and graduate perspective. So going along with my psychology degree, I grew up in a family that was very involved with business. So I always knew that I wanted to pursue that range. And thankfully, through my psychology degree, I was able to concentrate in marketing. And marketing coupled together with psychology really enabled me to broaden my horizons in terms of that creative aspect that I want to bring to organizations, be that center of focus, be that people person that's always interacting with people. I knew I probably wasn't going to be a therapist, which is sort of the typical role that most psychology majors kind of go into. But being in business, being in psychology, and now this MBA program has enabled me to learn not only more about marketing and consumer behavior, but also various areas of business. So I knew psychology was going to give me multiple opportunities, multiple routes to pursue, whichever my interests were. And it definitely worked out. And I know there's a lot of flexibility in it, which is why I enjoy it to this day. And I'm glad I chose to pursue it.
All right, so the influence of your family with regard to business is what kind of leans you toward the MBA program.
Yeah, of course. I took a few classes in high school related to business and I enjoyed those, but it was more of a combination of the two influences I had at home and my high school experiences that I knew I wanted to go into business.
Okay, well, your assessment of the relationship between marketing and psychology and consumer behavior is about as accurate as you're going to get. And one of the things the College of Business has been doing for the last couple of years is building a faculty that's becoming renowned nationwide for its concentration on consumer behavior. And much of the psychology program that we've shared degrees with and students is working out real well. So that was pretty good. All right, thank you. Okay, Sean. Well, other than the fact you changed your major.
Yeah, so I already said that I changed my major. We like writing. It's my passion. We'd love to write comic books, movies, whatever happens. We don't know what life will hold. But the reason why I'm going for the MBA in marketing is, one, I think it would be a well-rounded education. You have creative writing, journalism, marketing. Something's got to work, right? And also, I think it would be very useful if I do start getting into the publishing field and understanding business. I will say you learn about finances in this class, which is something that, well, not class, but program, which is something I had no idea anything about. I don't even know how to file my taxes. My family has an accountant, but I will learn how to do that now. So that's the whole deal with that. And I honestly think it's just a very good skill to have, because I feel like it will be useful even if you don't choose to pursue something with it. Because I mean, my dream, I could honestly see myself just owning like a local mom and pop store, probably a comic shop, knowing me. So I'm just in it for the ride, and we'll see where it takes me.
Okay, well,
Hopefully it works.
Starting point. And a lot of students realize that as they select their majors, and they're all over the place with their majors, obviously, that when they graduate, they've got to use that major to make a living. A lot of us aren't going to sit back and inherit a lot of money from mom and dad. So we got to go out and build a career for ourselves. And the idea of understanding how business operates and how you can incorporate your major and your expertise in that area into an approach where somebody's willing to pay you for what it is that you've studied and you've learned, that's a very good point. And by the way, tell your parents they have an extra month on filing their taxes this year. So there we go. All right, Mba, where are you?
Okay, so like I was also a psychology undergrad, much like Nicole. And so like I obviously, just like Nicole, thought that it would be a good basis for understanding human behavior. And I knew that that would be just a good starting point for whatever I ended up deciding to do with that, like post undergrad. And I decided to specifically apply to the MBA program, the fast track program, because I thought that I can combine like the psychological aspect of, understanding people and how they behave. And there's actually a class in the MBA program, organizational behavior, which is all about that. But in a business setting, I thought that that would be a kind of like a good jumping off point to going into the MBA. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not very good at math either, but I definitely knew that like I could use this, and I'm still trying to figure out like exactly what I want to do. I know that I'm in the healthcare management concentration, but I still I hope to go into like hospital administration after this. So I knew that this would be a good basis of like jumping off from there.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, so I guess I'm pretty similar to Amber in that sense. I was planning to do the MBA in healthcare management. So now I mentioned before I'm on the pre-med track, but I don't think I ever considered getting an MBA until I got an email about, the MBA fast track program. And at the time I was actually working at a medical office. I was working as a clerical assistant. And so while I was working there, I was exposed to all these different things, like, I guess a lot of insurance calls first, as well as just so many different aspects, insurance, telecare, right, EMR records, all of that. And so it was a lot of, I guess, business aspects that intervened medicine. And I was interested in learning more about that. It was, trying to understand why organizational changes, such as, I guess, insurance policies and instituting telecare were so important to optimizing patient care and delivery. So that was the reasoning for why I applied. And hopefully I plan on doing something similar to Amber and going into hospital administration and basically serving as a, I guess, liaison between physicians and non-physicians in the boardroom. But I also realized Matthew asked me a specific question, I think, in the chat. So just to address that, in terms of balancing between two majors, yes, biology is a very heavy major. I'm currently taking biochem right now, which is 3-credit course, feels like a 7-credit course. There's no 7-credit course, but it's very heavy. So that's why I prefer to take my MBA courses during the winter and summer, which I believe Joyce will definitely address with you while you're planning. So that definitely lightened the load a little bit. And even cramming these courses within 6 weeks, 3 weeks, it's definitely manageable with the course load. And I'm sure everyone here can attest to that, like Sean, Nicole, and Amber as well. So yeah.
Thank you. Making the decision to include an MBA in your undergraduate program is not an easy decision to make for a lot of young students and aspiring scholars and whatnot. But if I'm not mistaken, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong on this one of the things that we do prior to accepting a student into the 5-year MBA program is we run several information sessions on campus. We invite you to come in, we interview and talk to you to understand your maturity levels and whether you can handle the workload and whatnot. But if I were to ask each one of you guys, what was the one factor, the one variable that you learned about the 5-year MBA program before you signed on to it that said, other than getting an MBA, okay, what was the one thing about the program and its structure and its interaction with the rest of the College of Business that was the deciding factor for you?
I guess I can start again. So starting out as a psychology major and knowing that I wanted to go into business, I actually considered minoring in business. At the time, that was an option. By the time I was able to minor and try to get the paperwork in, it was actually removed as a minor. But I still knew I wanted to do business. And knowing that the fast track program, going to the information sessions, like obviously there's a concentration in marketing, which we've already touched on. There's innovation, there's operations management, there's finance, and there's also graduate programs throughout business and accounting as well. Knowing that I wanted marketing, knowing that I wanted business, and also knowing that even as a student that maybe doesn't want to go into finance and accounting, but still would like that knowledge and just being a broad and well-rounded business individual and professional, I knew that MBA program, fast track program would be absolutely beneficial in terms of that perspective. Being a psychology major, I wasn't able to take a lot of the business courses that I would have liked. So the MBA fast track program gave me that opportunity to really make myself into a well-rounded, knowing many different disciplines within business and being able to excel and explore those areas, in addition to also pursuing my degree in psychology, which I was equally passionate about. So that's my kind of snippet of why I chose the MBA fast track program and the most important aspect of the program that I enjoy as well.
So you're not limited in the disciplines that you can take advantage of while you're in the program. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Luke, put your thinking cap on. Let's go to ancient history. Okay. Where did you come out on this one?
I was digging deep for a while to try to remember, that particular moment, but, turning the corner in my junior year, and, I think reality starts to knock is like, what are you actually going to do when you're out of school? And even though I was pursuing a subject that I was very passionate about, learning about environmental issues and, sustainability, when I started to think about my career and how, the jobs that were available out there, I pretty quickly realized that science wasn't necessarily the exact place for me. I did not want to necessarily be a scientist, no offense to everyone, to a lot of people, obviously, on the phone here. But so for me, it was very clear that I needed another discipline. And, just back in 2007, you know, or whatever it was, 6 or 7, 2008, which is where I graduated, I think the whole field of sustainability and energy sustainability was just sort of getting started, you know, corporate social responsibility and, you know, ESG, as they call it now, was just really at its infancy stage. But I knew I wanted to go in that direction to really just make an impact in my career and do something that I love. And I always knew that it is from the business side that you get things done. And once, you know, this amazing opportunity came up for me, it was really just an obvious decision. I was there already. I was ready to go. You know, what's an extra year? The ability to be able to stack it with my undergrad was really helpful, and it really worked out well for me, because I mean, at the end of the day, I graduated with an MBA in my pocket, and you know, within a few years, I was able to quickly sort of rise up the ranks within my company, because I had that management experience. And, you know, I'm one of the youngest management guys there, because I could manage really large projects from a financial perspective, manage people, and do all the marketing that's really critical to my work as well.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
I think for me, I studied abroad when I was an undergrad, and I ended up taking 2 business classes just randomly, and I ended up really loving it just in general, just really liking what I was learning, and I knew that this would be applicable in the real world once I graduated. So I knew that once I saw that MBA email, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll apply there. That's kind of what it did it for me.
All right. You know, with the exception of Luke, we're talking to you know, real-time students, and Luke's got a little bit more experience having graduated from an earlier program. So what I'd like to do is I'd just like to interject myself for a moment and send a message out to the parents, because you guys and gals out there right now are listening to the students. All right. I want to interject a couple of ideas that the parents may want to consider as to what the value of the program is as you discuss this with your children. A couple of things. Number one, by being exposed to the 5-year MBA program, you're at the undergraduate level. It gives the students, and you guys can touch base with me on this one after I'm finished and let me know what you think about it. It gives you more exposure on a personal, individual level with the senior faculty at Stony Brook. Because it's a graduate program and you're undergraduates, you get to work with the top of the food chain, if we will, as far as the instructors are concerned in the MBA program. So you are exposed to the senior faculty. You get the exposure of all of their wealth of information. And more importantly, as the point we raised before, these are the research professionals that are out there doing the research and getting published in all the first-tier journals and all in the United States right now. And it's on an individual basis. You're not in a classroom with 200 students and your professor doesn't even know who you are. I know when I was dealing with some of you in the classroom and all, I knew who my MBA 5-year students were, and they came to see me and we talked and we had projects. So much more exposure to the senior faculty, as well as what the students have told me in the past is they have established relationships with their cohorts of their other MBA students. And that has provided them with networking and lifelong skills and associations with people that have been together for years. And Luke, you could probably comment on that one also. So from a parent's perspective, other than what just the students are talking about, exposure to the senior faculty, exposure to them and working with them in many cases on their research as they're developing this stuff. And of course, the networking skills with high achieving individuals like yourself are the kinds of things you want to carry forward in your networking activities in your career. Is that right or wrong?
Absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still really close friends with with my cohort. That was the first cohort, right? I was in the first cohort. We were, you form bonds. You learn how to work together as a team. So, you spend nights together strategizing for different projects. So still very, very close with a lot of the folks from that cohort. Still networking with them a lot, still, reminiscing the days that we had to roll up our sleeves and think about real world business and help real world businesses through the program too. So that's the other piece that I thought was really great, was just having the exposure to help, to work with, just seeing how the real world works and get into, really specific opportunities to, think about business planning, management, marketing scenarios. And in some cases, I'm not sure if you're still doing capstone projects and things like that, but those are all really critical for me to understand how real world projects and business plans and execution works.
Okay, Luke used the term that some of you may not be familiar with. It was the capstone projects. Part of the way the 5-year MBA program is structured, in addition to the exposure with the research and working with the senior faculty and some of this leading edge research, most of the approaches that we use in our business classes in this program are geared toward applications learning. You will learn the vocabulary, you will learn the discipline, and you'll learn the principles. But we're more concerned that the students leave this program knowing, I know what the terminology is, I know what the principles are, but more importantly, I know how to apply it to everyday business decisions. And some of the work that we get involved with is working with real companies on Long Island and having the students work with them during the course of their period in the program and helping them solve the business problem. So a marketing area would work in marketing people in companies with Long Island under the guidance of a senior faculty member who teaches in the MBA program. So it's very hands-on, applications oriented in a team environment, because most of the parents can relate to the fact that many of the business decisions and the activities in the business world today are not just done by individuals anymore. It's too complex, it's too sophisticated, it's too fast, and we don't have the adequate resources to get it done anymore. So the days of one guy and gal making decisions is not the way it operates anymore. It's a team effort, and we teach the students how to operate in that team effort collaboratively, and that also builds up something that they could use in their resume later on, and that's to demonstrate their leadership skills. And we don't cut them any slack. We give them a responsibility, we give them the projects, we mentor them, but they've got to do the work. And that's part of what they're going to achieve when they graduate from the program. All right, hey guys, we're gonna have to go to questions. We got some chat questions coming up, so we're gonna get to that in a couple of minutes. But just what is the one thing about the structure of the program that you particularly like?
I'll start off again. Sorry, I wanted to give everyone a chance, but I really enjoyed, especially the 48 credit track. You get to take up to 15 credits of MBA credits in your undergraduate degree. That way, when you do matriculate fully into graduate school, you're essentially at the same pace as a business major would be. So for anyone that's not a business major who still wants to complete it in 5 years, it's completely doable because you have the opportunity to take those MBA credits in addition to your undergraduate degree. You get the opportunity to take, whether it's the intro level courses or more specifically geared towards whatever concentration you're pursuing. And then after you matriculate, you're on the same playing field as a business major would be in terms of credits that you have to take. So that's one aspect of it that I really liked as well, because instead of graduating and then having to complete 48 credits, now I only have to complete 33 credits in my full graduate years at Stony Brook.
Anybody else?
It's condensed. It was condensed. So for me, it was actually really important. It was an extra year. And in an extra year, I got basically what I would take me 2 years to do. So that means you're saving a little bit of money on housing or an apartment. You might be, you're out of there quicker. And if you know that that's something that you want to do anyway, it definitely makes a lot of sense because of some of the ability to count it towards both grad and undergrad. So that was a huge selling point for me. And it was a a couple of busy summers, or at least one really busy summer, but it was definitely worth it for me.
Anybody else? You know, one of the things that the faculty is very much aware of, since these students are coming from other than business backgrounds and business degrees that they're looking at in their disciplines now. We've got, I think, Joyce, you mentioned 50 majors are associated with it. We recognize that you may not have been exposed to business classes before. Some of you have. You mentioned you had been exposed to it. The majority of our students come in, they're just picking up these programs, and they're picking up the use of their electives in their graduate courses at the undergraduate level. So the faculty is very much aware of the fact that we're dealing with young students who are coming on board, heading into a master's program, while an undergraduate student and may not have the business courses that some other business students might have had in other programs. And that's built into the way we deliver the material in all of the courses. We recognize that we're dealing with young students that are primarily versed in psychology and environmental sciences and the other areas. So we build that into the program so that they're at no time left floundering in the sense that I feel like I don't have enough background to be able to take a course that's at a graduate level. So we consider all of those things. And for the parents that are paying attention, just a couple of things, all right? Let's take it away from the students for a second. Number one, we're talking about completing a graduate degree in 1 year, all right, as opposed to 2 years, all right? Some schools it's 2.5 years, depending on how you can take your courses. And in some environments, graduate schools won't even let the student apply for an MBA program till they've been in the workforce for 2 or 3 years. And this gives your students the opportunity to get it done in 5 years. And of course, what goes with that is the time factor, but also the expense of getting the MBA. So the 5-year program gives it that can, I think, what is the term you use, Luke? You know, it's condensed, okay? Yeah, by getting it into the 5-year program, it's a tremendous savings in time for the students, as well as in the expense for the paying for a graduate degree. And that's something to keep in mind, right? Luke, before we turn it over to questions in the chat room, is there anything that you would like to add as to how you felt that having that MBA was beneficial to your career? I know you touched on it a moment ago, but can you think of anything more specific? Would you do it again?
I would definitely do it again. Yeah, I mean, it put me, you know, knowing where I am now. I mean, look, it's really hard to make these decisions when you're that young. I mean, thinking back realistically, you know, to myself when I was, you know, a sophomore, junior, trying to think about where I was going to go with my career. I knew my interests, and I'm really glad that I stuck with my heart. But I didn't necessarily have a clear path. But the more sort of, you know, tools you're able to put into your toolbox or on your resume, obviously the better. And for me, it worked out really well because, you know, I was essentially building my own career path at a time when, you know, there were no sustainability programs. And so by being able to combine it myself, I essentially chose my path, you know, for myself, and because I knew I was interested in both those areas. And thinking back now, you know, it's so hard to figure out exactly where you're going to land with your career, but the more opportunities you give yourself at the beginning there, then the more, you know, things you could look at, the more job applications you could apply to. And thankfully, I was actually scooped up by a career fair recruit person. And yeah, that's where and my career kind of started there. And I was able to quickly, you know, advance. I mean, at this point, if we look, you know, we definitely have a lot of master level requirements on job applications for, you know, a lot of the career paths that I'm currently recruiting for. And so I know that helped me tremendously, just to kind of grow in my organization. And, you know, there just wasn't any issues when there were opportunities that were presented.
You know, the having the MBA as you enter into the workforce after you've completed the program it shows immediately results, financial results immediately. As most of the parents listening to our broadcast tonight can probably relate to, is when you apply for a job, especially with entry level jobs and things of this nature, they're very competitive to begin with. And having the advanced degree gives you a knowledge base. It gives you a platform of being in a better position to contribute to the companies. But when you look at your compensation packages, human resources has identified for most companies the pay ranges that are available for a particular job. So, for example, a student may say, I'm looking for a job as an entry-level position in this company. Well, human resources and hiring managers know the pay grade for that runs between $60,000 and $80,000. And somebody coming in with a bachelor's degree and no experience, they're going to start looking at 61, 62,000 as an offer. However, with no experience, but yet having an MBA, they start you in as some closer to 64, 65, and 66 because they pay you for the MBA and the expertise. So just even as initially starting out in the workplace, the MBA carries a financial benefit that you'll be able to attract a little better compensation package from there. So it's something that pays off right off in the beginning too. Joyce, did you want to take some?
And it stands out. And it stands out. I mean, it does help when you have a stack of resumes in front of you. Like
yeah,
I do over here.
It definitely does. And it shows that you can really do graduate level work while you're an undergraduate. So it just shows what a serious student you are. And the fact that you're on this meeting right now means that you are already, recognized as a high achieving student. So we have some questions here that I'll go through and I'll try and answer some of them, and I'll also address some to the panel as well. But I want to start out by just saying that I see a lot of questions that are going into kind of some of the same areas of where we say that it can be completed in 1 extra year. So if you're coming in with transfer credit, if you're accelerating your progress by taking summer classes and winter session classes, it's not necessarily that you're on a 5-year path. You could, speed up your undergraduate degree overall. And then when you graduate, whether it be in 3 years, 4 years, it's really still that 1 extra year to complete the MBA, as long as you're able to fit in those 15 credits. So I just want to quickly go over that again, because I do see some questions here about how that works. So when you are taking those first 15 credits as an undergrad, the earlier you start, the better, because then you're able to kind of spread them out. And some students will be taking them during the regular spring and fall, or you can utilize the winter and summer sessions to just only do those MBA courses. And if you spread out those 15, it's a little less overwhelming. So the earlier you start, the better. Now, that being said, maybe you got to your junior, early senior year, and you realize, you know what, this is really what I want to do. You can still do that. And you do work with your advisement team to help you choose the right classes and the right path for you to complete those credits. So like I said, if you complete the first 15 on your undergrad level, there's lots of benefits to that. Number one, those 15 credits are counting towards your undergrad degree as well as your graduate degree. So those credits are going to count towards your upper division electives or just your general electives. So you're not only saving time, but you're definitely saving money. Those first 15 credits, you're going to pay undergraduate tuition. So there is a tuition difference between your undergraduate degree and the MBA. So if you look at the Bursar's website, you can see all of our tuition charts. So you'll see that the MBA has its own tuition chart, and that is SUNY wide. So you can see the difference in tuition. So already off the bat, taking those 15 credits, you're saving significant money by being able to pay that undergraduate tuition. Once you matriculate as a graduate student for that 1 extra year, then you'll start paying the graduate tuition. But once again, you're doing that for, say, 33 credits as opposed to the full 48. So quickly, before I get to some of these other questions, I just want to go over the different areas that you can choose from. We have a general MBA where you can mix and match your electives. You can do a concentration in operations analytics or innovation. Then we have our individual degrees. So an MBA in finance, MBA in marketing, MBA in healthcare management. We also have an MBA in accounting. So you can couple that with our minor in accounting, and that will have you be eligible for the CPA exam. So we are a CPA licensure eligible program. Okay, so now that I got through all of that, I think I answered some of the questions that are here. Let me go through and address some to the panel. So can you take classes in the summer and winter? Does that mean it'll cut down in the time, meaning you can graduate earlier? So I kind of addressed that, but is anyone here on the panel, did you utilize taking the MBA courses in your winters and summer sessions? And can you talk a little bit to that? Sean, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I did. I took a winter class, and even as an undergraduate, I took summer and winter classes unrelated to the MBA, but the most recent one I did take was MBA 506, Leadership and Development. So yes, you can take them over the sessions. Just what things to keep in mind. One, they're very condensed, especially in the winter. You have 3 weeks to complete the class. That is still a semester's worth of work. So you want to make sure that you're regulating your time appropriately and efficiently. And also keep in mind, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but for winter and summer, you have to pay per class. It's like the tuition is per class and everything. And something I will say, because I had to deal with it, and I want to spare some of you an anxiety attack and panic attack, especially in the summer, for terms of financial aid. You're given financial aid for the year. This is the case for me. It might not be the case for everybody. You're given financial aid for the year, and they will offer you financial aid in the summer, and you'll be like, great, it's going to cover the cost of my class. If you use that in the summer, that's less to be used in the fall and spring. So that's something you want to keep in mind, because I realized that right before, and thankfully I was able to change that and not be messed up for the fall and spring. So that's my little finance story. I probably should have taken 502 before I knew that.
Okay, yes, thank you for bringing up that point. And that is another question that was here as well. You do pay per credit for summer and winter sessions. However, you want to work with the financial aid office if you can, they could package you in some other way. But definitely you want to work with that department directly. Okay, so let's go through here. If your GPA happens to slip up, will you be kicked out? So no, the answer is no. Once again, you've been recognized as a high achieving student for this program. So we will be monitoring you in the program to make sure that you're making steady academic progress. You do need to maintain a 3.0 or higher in the graduate program overall. So if you did happen to go below that 3.2 or 3.0, there would be a point of an academic probation. And that's all listed in our graduate bulletin. But once again, you would work very closely with me as your advisor and your other advisement team, because we would want to make sure that you're being successful in the program. Okay, so let's go through. I want to give you guys some more questions to answer.
Joyce, while you're looking at those questions, I just want to add a postscript to what you just said. As a faculty member, we know who the 5-year MBA students are in our classes. And if a student starts to experience some difficulty, we step in before anybody else steps in, because we want to make sure that these students are successful. We're not interested in having students get into academic problems or drop out of the program. So that's something that the faculty takes on as a personal and a professional responsibility ourselves, that if your student does start to experience some issues, we will step in and we'll work with them and trying to get them back up on speed again.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, definitely. One question is, can you double major? You definitely can, and you want to work with, once again, the advisement team to see how that would, the MBA fast track would still fit into your program. And to go back to Nicole's point and talking about the business major as opposed to the MBA. If you're in a non-business major, this is really designed for students who don't have that business background. And what's so great about doing it this way is, once again, not only are you saving the time and the money, but instead of just getting a separate business major, you're getting that extra credential that's going to make you more marketable when you're looking for a job later on. So, you definitely can do more than one. If you're interested in doing business, though, and another approved major, it makes more sense for students to do the MBA fast track program. Okay, so let me just look through here. I just want to make sure I think we covered a lot of these. I have a question about, is health science or biology approved? So a lot of the health science majors are not approved for the MBA fast track program. The reason for that is mostly because they don't have those open electives that you need to fit these MBA classes into. Now, that being said, if you're in a health science major, you absolutely can still apply for the MBA program. You would be eligible for the 48 credit track. The main difference is that you would start the program after you graduated with your bachelor's. And biology, there's two majors. There's a biology BS, which is an approved major, and a biology BA, which unfortunately is not approved. And once again, it really comes down to the different departments and what kind of electives that you have the freedom to take based on what's approved. Now, if you're in a major that's not approved, down the line, we could always possibly look into that. It's a lengthy process to have new majors approved. So if that's something that you're interested in, point that out to us and we can work with the departments to see down the line if that was something that could be approved in the future. Okay, so I just saw that I just answered that question. Will there be more majors added in the future? Once again, it really is up to that department and we would work with them directly. Okay, so I have a lot about double majors. I think we answered that pretty much. Is anyone here double majoring? No? Okay. Okay, so let's see. There's a lot of questions. I'm just trying to make sure we've gotten through all of them. So I have a question here about, is there an entrepreneurial MBA? And that would be what we would call our concentration in innovation. There's definitely classes like social entrepreneurship, new product marketing within that innovation concentration. So if you're looking to start your own business, I would definitely recommend that as one of the concentrations of interest. Okay, so when can we apply for the MBA program? So really, you would just let us know that you're interested in this program, and we'll follow up with you about that process through the College of Business. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to give you guys questions. A lot of it's, okay. Do these credits affect my GPA? So that's a great question. Yes, they absolutely do. When you're taking the classes at the undergraduate level, they are going to affect your undergraduate GPA. And once you matriculate into the graduate program, like I said, these are classes that are double counted. So now they're also going to be counting towards your graduate GPA. So yes, they definitely count towards your undergrad and graduate GPA. And just understand that, you've heard a lot about these intro courses in finance and accounting. Know that they are exactly that. They're intro courses. They are designed for students who don't have that business background. So there's no need to be nervous in taking those. And we really recommend that you take those intro courses while you're within those first 15 credits. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here I can throw to the panel. Okay, so maybe I'll just throw this out there. This question is asking, we kind of gone over this, but maybe you can give me a little more info. what would be a pro or a con then to do this rather than a conventional MBA? So does anyone want to throw anything out there? Sean, do you raise your hand?
I'm probably going to start with a con just because I'm a stressful person. So somebody should start with a pro. This way we balance it out.
Go ahead. All right, so how about Luke? What about a pro to doing this rather than graduating and coming into an MBA or, maybe another master's degree later on?
The time and the expense initially.
The condensed part was really a big selling point for me. And if I think now, would I have been able to go back and, having a family and kids, it's a little hard to get an MBA later. So I'm really glad I did it right away. And honestly, I just don't think it would have put me on the same trajectory in terms of my career. Yes, you could always do it later, but I was there, I was ready, I was serious. And thankfully I boosted my GPA once I started, once you get into a program like this, you really take it seriously. And so I was able to really boost my GPA. I barely snuck in there with my 3.2, but once I got out, I was very surprised in how well I did. So I'm really glad I did.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so when do you apply to the program? Really, you typically would start once you're in sophomore standing, but you would just reach out to us and let us know that you're interested in starting the program, and we will keep in touch with you to let you know the application process and when you would come in and actually start taking these MBA courses. Okay, let's see if we're going into anything else here. I have some questions about career services, so I'll just go over that quickly. We don't have an internship as a requirement for the degree, but we definitely encourage all of our students to get involved in internships because that's a huge part of helping you figure out not only what you want to do after you graduate, but what you want to do when you graduate as well. So it's really also, we have embedded in our classes lots of ways to network with companies. So we work with companies that are coming in and giving you real life projects to work on. You're not just doing a project for the sake of a grade, but you're really getting that real life experience. And networking and working in teams is a huge part of business. So that's really a large part of our program. And we really have that in a lot of our courses. So, I think that's a good question to answer. Does anyone want to speak to, their experience in working in teams or groups or one of these projects? Jump right in.
I don't want to answer too many questions here and take away. All I'll say is it's awesome. You work with other people. Google Slides is always the way to go. And I will say, I think every single group project I've worked on thus far, everyone's been cooperative and there haven't been any issues. Everybody tries to pitch in and do a good job. One thing I'll say, I seem to be the graphic design guy. So if you know graphic design, definitely helps for those PowerPoint slides. But yeah, that's all I'll say. I haven't had a bad experience. They're all great.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think almost every class in the MBA program has some sort of group component, whether it be formal, actual group assignment or informal, just in the class, you might break out into teams. But I can definitely attest as well to the fact that I think there's definitely a maturity level there that and trust involved within the group itself that we can rely on each other, and it definitely adds for more enhanced group experience.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, go ahead, Hasina.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The maturity level, because the people taking these classes are obviously graduate students. So I definitely saw a difference there in terms of cooperation with group projects. So that was a positive. Another thing that I was going to mention was for these summer and winter courses, a lot of the time they're asynchronous. So in those cases, when you don't necessarily have that interactive component, I mean, that was something that I was concerned about. But one of the benefits for there was that a lot of the professors would institute like, discussion boards, like weekly, a lot of different posts and stuff like that. So I felt like even if you weren't necessarily, attending a live session or a meeting, you were still interacting in that sense. And I thought that was a nice addition. So.
Okay, great. Great. I think we've gotten through a lot of the questions. I'm just doing one final read through because some of them are similar. And just know that if you're interested, there will be a form that you can fill out at the end of this session, but you can also reach out to the College of Business directly at our cobgraduate@stonybrook.edu. And once again, we work very closely with your undergraduate advisor, the admissions team, to see when you're interested in starting this program. Great, so I think we've gotten through pretty much all of the questions. So I really want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you, Professor Edel, for moderating. That was amazing. And all the students for giving us your experience in the program. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Thank you, guys. Stay
Thanks,
well.
everyone.